to, thank you, John, for starting the recording. Welcome everyone tonight to the Club Growth Training for new club sponsors and mentors. And today we have a team here, the Club Growth team, that's going to be helping me through this presentation and some interactive slides for the audience to participate in. We have our Division A director with us tonight, helping the Club Growth team, Paul Fay. So I'd like to introduce Paul Fay.
Hello.
Our club sponsor chair, Jean Cassidy, is here also. Say hi, Jean.
It's muted.
Our club new source data research chair, John Hardowitz, is here. Hi, John.
Hi.
Our club quality chair, Aaron Darling. Hi, Aaron.
Evening, everybody.
And that wraps up the functionaries that are putting on this meeting, except
Brenda,
for one
Sarah.
very important person who is hiding behind a screen that says timer right now. So I want to give a shout out to Brenda Scher, who's our club retention chair.
Hello.
Also on the call, helping in a support role, but on mute as he is driving, is Brent Felsted, our club coach co-chair. So welcome everyone. Are you ready to dive in and learn about some new clubs and club sponsors and mentors responsibilities?
Cowabunga. Yeah.
All right. Well, chartering new clubs is very, very important. You can see by the picture that the club sponsors and mentors really have to support and help a new club know the right direction to go. And there are very good benefits that will be there for the sponsors and the mentors, both personal and professional and Toastmasters specific goals. There's several things that we hope to take away from this. Some things that I think you may have burning questions about are what types of clubs are good candidates for new clubs. And of course, we will talk about the club sponsors' duties, the club mentors' duties, and resources that a club sponsor or a club mentor needs to have in their toolbox so that they can help the club know where to go to get answers to questions. So that's a real good summary in general of what we're going to talk about today. But I'd like to tell you just in a kickoff, because this is the thing that is the most exciting to me, is chartering new clubs is very, very important to the district for several reasons. Our district mission is we build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. So we've got to build those new clubs. And part of it is because we know what we've gained from our Toastmasters experience, and we want to share that with as many new people and as many new clubs who can get that same fire and enjoy the benefits of Toastmasters. We also have this opportunity to really encourage leadership opportunities. This year is a year of rebounding club growth. After COVID, we're now kind of coming on this curve where there's a lot of momentum going into the year of new clubs that want to start. We've got a lot of members out there that could be encouraged to test their leadership skills in a role of a club sponsor or a club mentor. And a club, a brand new club, gives us in our Founders District pool of clubs some additional diversity so that different club cultures can appeal to a wider variety of audiences in the membership. And of course, we've lost clubs, so we do want to replace those clubs. And at this point, I'd like to pass it over to you, Paul Fay. Would you take away?
Thank you, Kathy. Yes, absolutely. I'm going to be addressing the first quadrant of the next slide, which is all about the benefits of sponsors and mentors. I've had the privilege of being both in my 11 years in Toastmasters. And the first thing I want to address is one of the key issues is you develop soft skills. Now, the first time I heard that phrase, I thought, what on earth is a soft skill? Well, to put it concisely, a soft skill is really a combination of communicating effectively, social skills, in other words, so that you can be ready to lead a team when required. Developing and sharing your expertise. As you come into the sponsoring and mentor field, you're going to bring your experiences from your journey into this new environment. You're going to obtain fresh perspectives. Now you're experiencing life outside of your home club, that very safe cocoon in which you've lived all this time. You're going to bring those exciting opportunities to this new club or mentoring a club that has now been founded. You're going to be building teamwork skills. You can't do either of these positions alone. You have to have a team, whether it's a team you bring in to help start the new club or the team you work with inside the new club. That meaning the fresh officers, the people who are eager to learn and to stretch their wings. This also increases speech opportunities because you're going to be addressing a very interesting part of what Toastmasters does. This is founding new clubs, bringing the Toastmasters journey to people who may not even know it was an opportunity that they need to take advantage of. Now, at this point, I'm handing it off to Jean. Jean, take it away, please.
To Aaron.
Oh, to Aaron, I'm sorry. Aaron, I beg your pardon.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. One of the skills that you get to develop most of all is leadership, because everything rises and falls on leadership, as I've read before. You get to demonstrate your value as a team leader, develop program management skill set you may not have or that you might want to develop, and expand your marketing expertise. As you come in and help these clubs, you are leading from the front. You're showing them the example and you're helping them build the culture that they're going to have to take them into the future and their growth. And I will pass it on to Jean.
Thanks, Aaron. Learning best in moments of enjoyment. Ralph Smedley said it best. We learn best in these moments of enjoyment. And Kathy mentioned it earlier too, by sharing the excitement, sharing the Toastmaster experience with others. This is such an amazing feeling that I know I've stayed in Toastmasters for almost 3 decades because of it. You come in not knowing what to expect, and you walk away saying, I can do so much more and be such a part of something even bigger than myself. And that's what we were talking about here. We enjoy the uplifting experience that we find, and we want to share it with new Toastmasters and other Toastmasters as well. Let's all celebrate the fun in accomplishing our different pathways, our different educational goals, and having successful years as a group. So, John, with that, would you please talk about our specific benefits?
Well, it's good if I unmute myself. Yes, the Toastmasters specific benefits. Well, one of the benefits is that you're investing in the future of Toastmasters, helping Founders District grow and to offset any declining clubs. You also receive credit towards the Pathways Distinguished Toastmaster requirements, which I will talk about on the next slide. All right, so I'll take them from the top. To get a Distinguished Toastmaster award, you need to be a club officer for a year, a district officer for a year. You need to be either a club mentor or a club coach. A club mentor is a minimum of 6 months with an additional 6 months preferred. A club coach could be up to 2 years. Then for the third requirement, to be a club sponsor, or lead a speechcraft program, or lead a youth leadership program. The club sponsor is from the idea of a club until it charters, and hopefully stay with the club after that for a while as well. Speechcraft and youth leadership programs are usually 8 weeks of classes with preparation time in advance before that. You need to complete level 5 in 2 paths and a Distinguished Toastmasters project, and you're on your way to your Distinguished Toastmaster Award. And now it's time for Jean.
Thanks, John. What does it take to be part of this team? I'm sure that's what you're sitting there wondering. Well, we're looking for a preferred eligibility for new club sponsors and mentors. We're looking for that experienced Toastmaster. And John mentioned it before, a club president, such as a club officer like the president or a vice president of education, vice president of membership, or secretary for at least 1 year. This gives you a broader understanding of the Toastmaster program and how to run meetings. We also are looking for someone who is Pathways enrolled and has completed at least 1 and 2, levels 1 and 2 of a given path. And it would be great if this person could also have base camp manager experience. And if some of these terms are unfamiliar to you, this is where we want to be looking at next, is becoming familiar with these. And of course, we would prefer an active member to be in Founders District in a district club. Also, a sponsor can be someone who is new as a Toastmaster. If you are starting a new club, then and you are actively recruiting other members for your new club, for that new charter, then you can participate in that process as well. Who appoints the sponsors and the mentors? That is pretty much the trio, the district director, the club growth director, and it's all done via email and using the forms that are part of the charter forms that we'll look at in a little bit. And then the application to organize with those names will go to world headquarters. What is expected of a sponsor? Well, the sponsor helps organize a new club, sets up meetings, and is part of that initial setup so that everyone is invited. Everyone has a chance to see what it is to be part of a demo meeting, which we'll talk about later. He follows the leads. Who's interested? Who wants to be a Toastmaster? And we talked about that enthusiasm, generating interest in a club. And there can be a lot of different clubs and types of clubs, which we'll talk about later. That person's also going to be recruiting members actively. And then there's always that paperwork, and we'll talk about those forms later as well. The sponsor can also become a charter member, because there's nothing like it as far as having bragging rights. And the final job then for the sponsor would be to plan the charter ceremony. And Aaron will talk to us about the team approach for a mentor.
After you take yourself off of mute, because you can't be a mentor and be on mute, you get to share your expertise and knowledge with club officers and members. As a mentor, being that you've already completed level 1 and level 2, you have probably already taken the introduction to mentorship from Toastmasters. And in that path, they teach you the difference between a coach and a mentor. The coach is for short-term goals. The mentor stays there for the long haul and is there to help the club officers and the team members work on the long game. You ensure that the club has a strong and is fully functional. Do they know what roles need to be filled? Do they know what's required of each of those roles? And they also confirm the officers know their duties and have the tools that are needed. And they said earlier, you support the club for its first year. It's only a 6-month requirement, and they would expect you to probably be at all the meetings for the first 6 months. But sooner or later, you have to get them out of the nest and let them fly on their own. So we would hope you to stay there for at least a year, but you can't stay there the whole time because they have to learn how to do it on their own. And that is the team approach.
All right, take it away, Paul.
Thank you, Kathy. Now, clubs. There are different types of Toastmasters clubs, something I was unaware of in the beginning, but I'm very well aware of now. The types of clubs that Toastmasters has are listed as forward. First, there's a corporate club, then there's a community club, then an advanced club, and a specialty club, and some of these are open and some are closed. First, let's talk about what a corporate club is. A corporate club is a club within a business. And for example, my home club is the Cal Optima Club in the city of Orange, and it's almost exclusively for employees of Cal Optima. Then there are community clubs, which have no affiliation with a specific business. They're just open to all the people in the community. So come one, come all. Then there are advanced clubs, people who are either further into their Toastmasters journey, perhaps they're already well on their way to becoming DTMs, or maybe they're even DTMs. And then a particular favorite of mine is specialty clubs. Now, there are several specialty clubs. One happens to be Wine on Wednesday, and I don't think I need to explain what that's about. There is also a gourmet club where they meet in restaurants and enjoy fine food. And what are open, closed, or restricted clubs? Well, an open club would be most of your community clubs that are open to everyone. Some corporate clubs are also open to people who are non-employees. Some are closed and are strictly for the employees. Now, how do you go about establishing a new club? Well, as we've already alluded to, there are several factors involved. The first one is you've got to have 2 sponsors. Those are the people who get the club going, who sort of circle the wagons, get that paperwork going, and help launch the club with the new members. This also requires, and sponsors usually, it's a shorter lived commitment. A lot of sponsors just stay for, say, maybe 6 or 8 weeks while the club gets off the ground. Then there are the mentors. These are the people who commit to helping the club for the most part through at least a year, getting them accustomed to all of the things that makes a successful club. You're also going to need guest speakers in the beginning who also always come from existing clubs. Those guest speakers can practice and help the new members understand what exactly they can do in the future. We always start a new club with a demo. These are done by experienced Toastmasters. We go into the new community or the business and we put on a Toastmasters meeting. And the new members get to see exactly, in the event that they haven't been to meetings before, exactly what constitutes a successful club meeting. We also bring in other Toastmasters and district leaders to help launch and perpetuate these clubs. As that rather, and I love this graphic, together we can. This is a team effort. It's all about pushing people up, which is my favorite expression. That's what Toastmasters is about. So the core team is going to be 2 mentors, the new club itself, that's rather important, and then 2 sponsors who all work in concert to get the team up and running, make that new club work. And I am now passing off to
Kathy.
Kathy. There we go. Yes, I was going to say whose audience.
In that demo meeting, and the demo meeting is so important for establishing a new club, one of the things that you must demonstrate right away, because it's the thing that most new Toastmasters really are going to be confused upon, is what are the meeting functionaries? Who is this person called the Toastmaster and the timer and this counter mystery role? there's all these various roles, and a sponsor and a mentor as part of the demo team of the meeting, as well as any other functionaries that are pulled together to be part of this new demo meeting, are going to explain and demonstrate what it means to be each of these roles in the meeting. That demo meeting is critical. This is what's going to really make a lasting impression on these people who are waffling. Do I want to join Toastmasters or not? So you really want to do your very best to show all the best things about Toastmasters, like how we keep our meetings on time. We start on time, we end on time. Such an important skill for people to learn. Show them those important 3 aspects of having the speech section of the meeting, of the prepared speeches, having the table topics, impromptu speaking, and then lastly, the real meat of what we learn in Toastmasters is our listening skills and our evaluation skills. So we've got to have a really carefully selected team that can put our best foot forward and really make a good impression. We're going to select experienced Toastmasters to fill most of those roles so that we can demonstrate them to the new members. Certainly, we don't want to lose any opportunity of following up on these people that have joined. They each need to sign the guest book so that we can contact them later. One important note, and this impacts generally corporate clubs, you may want to have in the demo meeting representation from your high-level representatives, your CEOs, your big, powerful VPs in the company. Have them be there and show that they support the Toastmasters Club. After you've got that demonstration meeting pretty well wrapped up, but people are still there in the room, there's some important things that you don't want to miss the opportunity to get answered for them. Let them know who their sponsors and mentors are going to be. This is their lifeline that'll help support them in their first year. You got to have some time for Q&A so that they can get their questions answered. There's a lot of questions the first time they've been there. Have an opportunity that experienced Toastmasters can share success stories. Select those temporary officers of the new club. Let's get that right out of the way, just get it done early so that we can get that on the paperwork and get them chartered. Announce that next meeting and have people that are going to be new members do some icebreaker speeches. Make sure that you've got that form to the application to organize, which is Form 1 in this forms to be completed package. Get that all completed and submitted so they can pay their charter fee and get a club number assigned. Conclude with lots of recognition. Toastmasters got to learn we always recognize each other, and follow up with those reminder notices as the next meeting approaches. Make sure that they know, oh, by the way, the applications are due in by this date. By the way, you're speaking in the next meeting. Make sure that you have your speech ready to go. All very great things to have ready. And I'd like to toss it over to Jean now.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm sure you're sitting there wondering, well, what if I want to start a community club? Well, if you think about it, it is very similar to starting a corporate club or any other kind of club. There could be and as Paul mentioned, the difference really is whether it's part of a company or it's something that's out in the community that is open to a larger group of people. And there are different types of clubs. There may be an interest, for instance, that photography or Le Gourmet is, there's a foodie club out there, and I'm sure we could probably do with a few more of those. There's some wine clubs out there, and there are a lot of different things. You find people with the same passions, and you can form a club around that. Your speeches can center around that. And it's just really a lot of fun networking and meeting people with the same genuine interests. You would do the same thing as far as planning that demonstration meeting that Kathy talked about. We will help you assemble that demo team. One of the big things out in the community is trying to find the right venue. Before COVID, what we did was we would often use community centers, or there might be a room in the library, or a lot of times restaurants would have a room that would be available for Toastmasters to meet, depending on the manager, and you work something out there. So you just have to figure out where you would be if you're going to be in person. Nowadays, we have Zoom as another option, and we can talk about that and how that would be modified, but still the same type of demonstration elements. And then you want to publicize that. And how do we do that? Well, in a community club, you can contact your local chamber of commerce and get them involved. You can display posters and announcements, including that would be, let's say, in coffee shops or other public places. You can also go on social media. There are a lot of things that you can use even with your zip code, and you could target that particular area or group if that's something that you want to do. There are a lot of different ways to start community clubs. And again, just bring that energy and that interest, and you will be able to get people with similar interests excited about it, if you're excited about it. And we did talk, yes?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just realized that we have an audience interaction poll exercise that I glossed over it. We were going to do that a couple of slides ago, and I wondered, do you want to finish your section of slides before we go to the poll, or do we want to break between this one and the next one?
Well, we're just going to be talking about forms, so we might as well do some audience participation.
Okay, thank you for that. I have some little fun polls for you to participate in. And as an audience, I would like to know who we have out there and what kind of various Toastmasters experience you bring to the table, especially as it relates to being a club sponsor or a club mentor or starting a brand new Toastmasters club. So I'd like to launch this first poll, and let me send that right now. Please take a couple of minutes and answer this question. Have you ever been a new club sponsor or new club mentor? This is multiple choice, so you can answer if you've been both. And I see some responses coming in. There's so far a little over 50% of the people have answered. A couple more responses coming in. That concludes the polls that I have for you. So thank you for taking part in that. And back to you, Jean.
Kathy, you are running ahead of schedule. I didn't know if you had any participants with questions.
Oh, thank you, Brenda, for that. Thank you for letting me know that. Are there any questions that we can answer at this midway point before we resume? I know we've been going a little fast through these slides so that we don't run over time.
I had a question, Kathy.
Yes.
So I joined a little late, like 10 minutes late, but I wanted to know the difference in the responsibilities of a mentor and a coach, a sponsor. So I didn't get that distinction clearly. I just got to know that the sponsor is a short-term responsibility and the mentor is a long-term, about 1 year. But in the responsibilities as such, what is the difference? How are the two roles different?
Well, let's go back to the slide deck where we talk about the sponsor responsibilities and the mentor responsibilities, Sonali. A sponsor helps organize that new club and set up the meetings, follows leads, generates interest and enthusiasm, helps recruit members, because this is somebody that is, the sponsors coming in to help the club get to charter strength. They're going to submit a lot of those forms, the paperwork that we haven't talked too much about yet, but we will talk more about it. And they can be a charter member of the club. And the last thing that the charter member, not the charter member, but the sponsor does is they plan that chartering ceremony to celebrate with the team that they have officially chartered.
Mhm.
So that's the difference. The sponsor is at the beginning, from the
Okay.
demo meeting through the chartering of the club and having that charter ceremony. Whereas the mentor is the one that really helps to share all the expertise that the officers and members need to be successful in the first year. They want to make sure that that club is strong and fully functional before they bow out and let them start running their meetings on their own. They want to make sure that they know how to get
Mhm.
all their duties and tools that they need well understood, and know that the resources are there. A mentor cannot possibly get credit for a new club until they have served at least 6 months in the role, but a club needs a mentor throughout that very first year, all through the year. So hopefully that mentor stays on and continues to support them so that they are not left without understanding how to do their next dues renewal, for instance.
Uh-huh.
So
Got it.
that's a little bit what we went over.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate you going back and showing me. Sorry about.
No
Just-
problem. I'm glad you were able to be on the call, and this is being recorded, so we can provide the recording to you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, Jean, I can pass it back over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Kathy. I know we talk about the paperwork being a little bit could be a stumbling block for some people because not everyone has the same skill set, but it's super important to make sure that we get these forms in the right order, and they have to be completed correctly. So I just want to briefly talk about the different steps. There is Form 1, which is the application to organize the Toastmaster Club. And it's at that point when we let TI know that we are interested in becoming a club. Excuse me. It's at that time that we include Form 2, which has to do with charter payments for the $125 chartering fee. And that gets the particular club into the system, and it gives us a number, a new club number. And that allows it to be part of the TI system, which can then be used where people are looking for a club in a certain area. They put their zip code in, and that club will show up in the system. So it's sort of a big deal to be able to have that in there. Now, the charter membership application is something that has to be done by every member who wants to be a charter member. Everyone has to come in and sign that application, complete it, and provide their fees and whatever the dues, depending on where we are in the cycle. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the charter application has to be signed by the member and has to also be signed by an officer. So as we talked earlier about having to set up and ensure that we had those particular officers listed, it has to be one of those officers, probably the president, that will be signing that application as well. It just has to be one of the 7 officers that are on there, but probably the president, could be the secretary as well. The way it works is Toastmasters doesn't really require a whole lot in the way of dues. They're paid twice a year, and there may be, if a club is chartering, there may be an opportunity for it to be some kind of an overlap where you have part of a 6-month period. So we have to also account for that. Everything is listed in that form. You don't have to deal with that alone. People will help you. That's what we're here to do, to make sure that these forms get filled out correctly and the right amount is put into the check so that we can go ahead and charter properly. Then there are other things like the charter club officer form. We just want to know who it is that has agreed to be the set of charter members, charter club officers. Then there's the club info for, there's a club info form, which basically says this is when we're going to meet. This might even have the title, the name of your club. This is the day we plan to meet, the time, and that type of thing. Then there are the club constitution forms, and then an addendum to the standard forms. And there's a whole list of things that are in there that are part of the bylaws of TI that are standard. And then you can make adjustments if you feel that there are things that are going to be just a little different about your club. And again, that's something that can be done on an individual basis. And we're here to help you with that, to make sure that everything gets put in and gets put in quickly. But once those forms are done, then it's time to party. And that's up to the sponsors to help plan that charter ceremony. After you set the date for that event, then it's time to invite your guests. Depending on the kind of club you're going to have, you may have, as Kathy mentioned, you might want to have your C-suite come if it's a corporate club. You may want the mayor to come if it's in a city club, or the president of the homeowners association. You might want to have some sort of special guests come as part of this initial meeting. You want to then publicize it and make a big deal of it. If it's something that's going to be done at a certain venue, you want to have some sort of meals or some snacks or something available there. You want to make sure that you're planning this and you're forming your committees to take up different parts of the various things that you want to do in order to have this event go off well. You want to make sure that it's a short meeting and you have a prepared printed program. Again, that's what we're here for. This is a fun event, and it really does take a little bit of planning, but when it comes off and you see how well it comes off and everyone gets recognized and we launch the club off this way, it's really a special moment. And then you get your charter certificate, which is yours for the life of the club. It's exciting. That's all I can say. It's just, there's just nothing like it. And when I say bragging rights, I really mean it. So I'm looking forward to more questions on helping to plan a charter ceremony. That's the best part of the sponsor's job, I think. And with that, I'll turn it now over to Erin.
New club mentors. This is the fun part. Who doesn't like to see other people grow and develop? Too often we accept the status quo and we don't get to develop to our full potential. The mentor is there to not only help the club, but to help the members and the officers grow. They have training tools. Their official duties are to ensure that the club's strength and full functionality before they leave after that year. They help train the officers. Now there's the founders district that will have training every 6 months for the officers that's required. But there's so much that goes into each of these officers' roles that sometimes they need somebody to sit down and help walk them through it. Those of us that have been with Toastmasters for a while, it becomes easy. It's almost a tribe per se with our own language, and other people don't necessarily know what those language parts are yet. They help provide the necessary tools. And a lot of help that will be typically needed now for pathways. And who's been a pathways base camp manager, a lot of people will need help with that. But you're sharing your knowledge. You sit back, you watch the club perform, and then give an evaluation of that. You see that they have quality club meetings. You help them build and maintain membership. A lot of recognition goes out, which is one of the best parts of Toastmasters, is we actually do get recognized for what we do. We help train them with the educational program, and most of all, the Distinguished Club Program. And those are the best practices that Toastmasters has identified, help clubs grow and be healthy. Quality club meetings. There's a lot of preparation that goes into that. If you have 3 speakers, that's typically 13 roles every week that need to be filled. And the earlier you do that, the better off they are. You help plan the club meetings, when they're going to meet, what time they're going to meet. Often clubs, to keep it simple, meet at the same day at the same time every week. Some clubs do first and third, some clubs do second and fourth. Some clubs only meet once a month. And some planning needs to happen for those meetings to work. Ideas and tools, some automation for the Vice President of Education, like Free Toast Host or Easy Speak, to help plan the meetings, allow the individual members to sign up on their own, to accept or decline the opportunities that they have. And then if they've been declined, somebody else gets to take advantage of that opportunity and give them educational tracking. Both those platforms have that already built in. And create a member service perspective. You want the members to own what they do. There's leadership that helps guide the club. But if you take ownership and you get taken out of the picture, the club will fall apart. That's why you need to train leaders and always be focused on succession planning. Who will be the next person to take up that mantle and move that club forward? The benefits of building and maintaining a membership of 20 members gives you a stronger leadership base. As you see people grow and develop inside the club, you will understand who's going to be your next level of leadership and who's just there for the ride. A lot of people actually go into Toastmasters not understanding how much they're going to get out of it. But as they grow and they develop, they get that breadth. You get additional perspectives and ideas. So much of the world we can only experience on our own. And as we learn from the other people in our clubs, they give us different perspectives that perhaps we didn't see. Interesting and fun club meetings. You make the club what it wants to be. If you want it to be entertaining, you help make it entertaining. Don't sit back and complain about it. Take the initiative and make it fun and entertaining. Foster a membership building culture. We are always wanting to grow, because as the club grows and we develop ourselves, we also get to develop those around us. And that elevates all of our thinking. Club membership contests are always fun. Bring a friend and win a prize. I was actually at an open house just 2 weeks ago where 2 NBA tickets for the LA Lakers were given away. That is some motivating contest winners for a lot of us sports fans. And that points back to stronger leadership base. There are 4 times that we focus on. Is that it? I will move it on. Let Paul take it from here.
All right, Aaron, thank you very much. If I'm keeping track of my slides here, I'm now going to address membership retention. Membership retention is very important, especially because people move on, especially in the corporate clubs, because what will happen is somebody leaves the organization, they get transferred to a different facility. They're obviously probably going to leave the club, especially without COVID and without the Zoom meetings where we would normally meet in a room. Let me explain a couple of critical issues when it comes to membership retention. We have a tool in Toastmasters. This tool is called the Moments of Truth, something that you need to run through with your club periodically throughout the year. It's very important because it will lead to the longevity and the healthy performance of the club. It also provides continuity. Now, what do I mean by that? Every club works with the framework of Toastmasters, but there's a little variation in each club. I like to say that each club creates its own culture based on the members. And it's the members who are the most important part of Toastmasters. It's not the people who run it out of corporate. It's not the upper echelon within the structure. The most important member in Toastmasters is the individual member. That's what provides continuity. It also assures that we have a strong leadership base. Aaron mentioned this earlier. Most clubs probably elect their officers on an annual basis. So every 12 months, you want to elect a new president, new vice president. This inflow of fresh ideas and fresh blood, if I can use that word, breeds a healthy club. Toastmasters was created not to have the same person in any particular role year after year after year. That's not going to breed a healthy club. Everyone in the club is responsible. Remember that Toastmasters, the club belongs to you. It's up to you how the club is run. Yes, you elect officers, but that's being done regularly. And it'll give you a healthy club. One last thing. I got into Toastmasters 11 years ago, walked into a meeting, was clueless as to what was going on. At the end of the meeting, I still wasn't sure I understood, but I knew that this group of people had something I wanted to be part of. 11 years later, I told them, I said, you know, the day this stops being fun, I will quit the club. Well, once a week for 11 years, I'm still having the time of my life. So this is just the best thing that ever happened. I joined Toastmasters rather later than most people, but that's because I probably wasn't ready earlier. So with that being said, I need to pass the baton over, and I believe I am now throwing this back to you, Kathy.
Well, thank you, Paul, and excuse me for advancing past a couple of slides a little bit quickly before we had actually covered them. And Aaron, my apologies to you, but we had a couple of slides back that I accidentally skipped over. Can we go back to these two slides? And if you'd like, I know I threw you off. I could just take it over.
No, I can definitely go into it. So
Okay.
to build and maintain our membership, every club, every 6 months, maintains 33% of the people are going to stay there. They'll have 33% of new people come in and 33% of older people will go out. And it doesn't make sense, but that is the way the math works. So every quarter we have membership building activities. We have the annual individual membership sponsors, the Smedley Award to get 5 new members, Talk Up Toastmasters, and Beat the Clock. These 4 initiatives are there every quarter to help you grow and maintain your club. And if you have 4 new members and then 4 more new members, those are 2 DCP points. And those count for 2, so that's 20% of your Distinguished Club program you can knock out just by getting 8 new members. And all of these initiatives will help for that. So to build and maintain membership, benefits of promotional strategies, you attract new members, you offset the attrition of non-renewing members, and the club operates more efficiently. Some of the clubs that I've been a members of actually have floats that they put in the local parades to attract new people. I had never heard of Toastmasters until they brought it into my corporate environment. And then when I was with this other club in a different city, they had a float that they would decorate as a club, not as a district or an area, but as a club, just to get new, fresh members into their club because they valued the new perspective so much. And it also keeps current members informed and interested. like I said before, as you see yourself growing, you can tell that those around you are growing too. And maintaining membership helps you grow for the longevity. Back to you, Kathy.
Thank you, Aaron. In closing, you can see how important all of the duties of club sponsors and mentors are in building brand new clubs. But you don't have to remember it all. There is one really great resource on Toastmasters.org website that everyone should be familiar with if they are interested in participating in any way in starting a new club. And that's this manual called the How to Build a Toastmasters Club, a step-by-step guide. That's a resource that you can download. And I believe John has a series of links that he's going to post in the chat. We have a number of other resources as well that can really help you help those new clubs, because remember, they need all of the tools, the tips and tricks that they can possibly get to be a sustainable new club. We don't want to get them chartered just to leave them floundering and fail the next year. So they need to know things about the Distinguished Club Program progress. How are they going to find out that information? Well, there is a great link out there for them to use called the Club Officers Tools. And it has actually a wealth of many links that will point them in various different ways that they can use Club Central. There's Club Central tutorials. There's Club Officer role tutorials. There's all kinds of things that can help them know that it's really important to be able to find that location on the website that's going to show them the progress that their club is making and help them see if they're on track to meet their goals. One thing that's always difficult to a new club is, where do I get all the forms that I need to do various things? How do I get the membership application form? Well, that's out there on the Toastmasters website. Where do I get the pathways, evaluation forms? Certainly all the pathways tutorial information is right out there in the member support area of the website, and they can pull down any number of valuable resources like the Pathways Navigator that will help them know how to find those forms that they need. Administrative tasks, they got to elect new officers every 6 months or perhaps every year. How do they do those tasks, and where do they go? The answers are there in these resources that you will be able to point them to as a club mentor or a club sponsor. One very important piece of information, because it gives them all kinds of tips and tricks that are relevant throughout the year in various areas, is the leader letter. And in the links that John provided, you can see how you can get not just the current leader letter and read through all the various articles that are in that, but you can look at the archives for past leader letters and find information that you read it somewhere, but you didn't remember where, and you can just look back and find it. In this year specifically, our clubs have to be savvy on not just having face-to-face meetings, not just having virtual only meetings, but also perhaps they want to do hybrid meetings so they can have the best of both worlds. And that's new to us this year. But there is information that you can get from the Toastmasters website that they've been compiling on how to best be prepared to run an effective hybrid meeting. So this is just some of the resources that you can see. Mentors and sponsors are so very important. to this new club because you help them get what they need to be successful. And we love our new clubs to be successful and to be able to celebrate in their successes with them. That is the joy of starting a new club that goes on to thrive. That is the end of our presentation slides. We wrapped up about 5 minutes early. We have allowed for 15 minutes of Q&A, but you can have up to 20 because we did wrap up a little early. I'm going to stop sharing for this one so we can see everyone out there. And please share questions, comments, anything that you didn't hear that you would have liked to have heard. Love to hear from people out in the audience. Come on off mute.
Hey, Kathy, I have a question.
Hi, Vena.
Yeah. So how do we come up with the ideas of starting a new club? Basically, can we come up with any theme?
So the first thing you want to decide upon is if it's going to be a community club or a corporate club. Because for the most part, if you're going to start a corporate club, it will probably not be a specialty club or an advanced club. Generally, corporate clubs are just a corporate club that is open to employees of the company.
Right. So
But
my
if you're
question
starting
is,
a community club, you have so many places you can go. You can pick a specialty. You can target a community that has a community center in the residential area that might be your meeting place. And so you can then focus on just people that live in that community. If you've got something like that where the residential area is big enough to support a Toastmasters club of 20 to 30 people out of the number of residents in their area. Things like that. You can look and do a little homework of the area you're looking to start a club. How many Toastmasters clubs do they have in that area? Maybe there's none, and then you want to look at that geographic area and say, we need to start a club here because this entire community isn't serviced by a club that is nearby. We discovered the city of Westminster only has one club, and that's pretty low representation for that whole city. You can look at opportunities to focus on hobbies. And a lot of our clubs do focus on hobbies. There's a club that focuses on people who are photographers. And there are other clubs that focus on more unusual things like Humor Masters was one of the clubs, and I don't know if that is still in Founders District or not, but they're really focusing on being more humorous, and that's got to be a fun club to visit. I haven't been to it, but I think I would enjoy it. Does that help a little bit with just some ideas out there? You can also think of an advanced club if you want to do something that brings in people that are advanced Toastmasters to really amp up their games. Okay, Dana, I hope I answered that question. And please, you can call out any one of our members of the panel to answer a question if you want to hear from a specific person.